Good evening. I think for my reflection from day one to today, I can say that I'm seeing a new behavior and a critical thinkers, a new spirit for young people that at least we have been identifying and then understanding these foundations that we're trying to rebuild for Africa. And at least we are going somewhere. Because if we need to build Africa we want, then we need to identify the people that we are trying to generate for the current generation, the future generations. And I do believe that the ULED Summit for the coming years and years and years is a new space that critical thinkers, leaders who can be able to challenge governments, to challenge anything that can be able to, can be affecting our society and anything. That I think that's the most important thing, that we are going somewhere, and it is now our time to lead, to become active, very active people in our societies. But also, I have also understand that at least from here, we have, if not maybe 20, if 100 of us, we can spread our voice, we can raise our voice from the various countries regarding on the issue of humanity, on the issue of responsibilities, issue of innovation and creativity, and try to transform our initiatives that we're trying to build, or we're trying to establish in our societies, but also to be able to monitor the growth of what we are trying to rebuild for in our societies. That are they growing? Are they benefiting of what we are trying to deliver to them? Are they also on the chain? That okay, we on the chain to build Africa we want, to make Africa we want, and that we need always to monitor, even maybe in Kenya, Uganda, South Sudan, Burundi, whatever, that we need to track that, track on growth tracking, and that okay, I think I can do this, I can do that. Okay, is it on innovative? That okay, we are now understanding about CFTA. Are the young people understanding about CFTA? What is that? What competence that we have, if we are going to be in line with the CFTA ideology? So I think it's really powerful, very powerful indeed. So in 2022, we're going to become a championing this peer-to-peer, isn't?
Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think for me, the lesson I take from today's session is that young people have the power, have the ability, but also availing ourselves, but we are not utilizing the strength in us as young people. That is the numbers. When you take account of all the East African countries, our numbers are looming. But what are we tapping out of those numbers? What are we doing out of those numbers? For me, I think as a young person who looks at the Africa I want, the better option would be running away from the Book of Lamentations and getting into action. And that will bail us from the situations that we undergo as young people. As leaders, we're trying to put here, I was trying to reflect, what are they committing? Are they really committed to what they are saying? Because we have had commitments across, and you get back, you leave, you lead, tomorrow you come back again and lament the same thing. So for me, I feel it's the right time we utilize the opportunity in us using the numbers that we have. How do we organize in different countries that we come from to ensure the numbers turn out the tables of lamentations into action? Thank you.
Thank you very much. My thought and my take home from the morning session was majorly from Honorable Mwalimu, who said about the median age of the youth versus the median age of the leaders in Africa. The median age of the people in Africa is 20, but the median age of the leaders in Africa is 62. So there's a gap of 42 years. So my take home was, how do we ensure that this gap that is there, so between our leaders and the youth, is minimized? And how are we bringing integration in this? So there's need for us to start deliberately from our countries. And particularly South Sudan was very categorical in the morning, and Uganda, that these things need to start from within. We need to first put policies within our countries that will ensure our young people within our countries are, first of all, having the privilege of being called the citizens of those various countries before talking about a regional integration that will bring together people together. Because what I see is that there's a clear gap between the various nations in terms of policies that are being implemented, in terms of the media, in terms of democracy in these various nations. There's a clear gap in that. So for us to leverage the playing field, we need to ensure that policies within the countries first are able to support the young people and are able to bring young people to that position where we can fight for our rights and we can bring in democracy. And the last thought was when she said that democracy sometimes needs us to even think it over, because democracy can be also abused sometimes. So we need to be people who think about democracy in terms of how is it going to make us all inclusive, because there are people who are abusing democracy and they say that they are democratic in East Africa itself. So we need to come to a place where we can say that all of us, the democracy playing field is leveled, and it will involve partnership, collaborations, and dialogues for us to get into that place. Thank you.
Thank you. Since day one, it was on Monday, I met with strong, vibrant, energetic, and some of them are very brilliant. And I think we all have an opportunity in a governance or political systems of our country. But what I notice, I think we need, as young people, to mobilize ourselves in economic perspectives. Because what I see, the old people in power, they have best friends, they have people who can fund them. So it's very hard for them to compete with them if we have just words and we are not organized economically. So I think we need also to keep emphasis on economic empowerment of young people. Maybe one day someone from Kenya, maybe Maureen or anyone, can fund me to my political campaigns and other issues. So I think one day young people in East Africa will be able to support everyone in our generation to achieve our dreams. So let's us focus both in political empowerment and economic empowerment, but let's emphasize more in economic empowerment, because who gets what and how, it depends on the levels of your muscles in the economy.
That's a good one, my brother. Protesting, going to protest, but you're broke. Aye, aye, aye. There's nothing bad as that, eh? You even have to, you want to use social media to tell off the government, you're calling your friend to give you bundles. Last input, yes, man.
Yeah. I just have one takeaway, and I think somehow we need to look back at how our countries were during the colonial liberations, right? Like independence liberations. One thing our fathers of nations had in common, I think they had a similar situation where they had such a bigger dream, but the resources were limited. And back then, there was just one agenda, and that agenda was to liberate Africa, right? And you would find that it was easy for Tanzania to provide a harbor to the late Nelson Mandela and support the cause so that South Africa can become independent. To Mozambique, Zimbabwe. And if you go to the West, also Namibia, you'll find that there was a very strong solidarity amongst these leaders. And they all had one agenda. And they worked together as brothers to be able to really change the status quo of the continent. And so if I look at that, and I look at the current time of our youthhood, something that we need to start with before we start to go and beg for support or anything is we need to kill this aspect of unnecessary competitions. We need to start trusting one another and be able to develop a cause and divide responsibilities amongst ourselves so that we can start to push for the common agenda. If we do this, then we will be able to really align into things that really make sense, things that are sustainable, things that are done out of pure passion and the urge. But if we continue to have different agenda, different interests, and have trust issues amongst ourselves, then we have disjointed movements. We will not see any light out of the tunnel. And at the end of the day, our plans, our dreams will be short-lived. So we need to go back and learn from how our forefathers were able to do it despite of all the challenges that were prevailing. And we need to ask ourselves some questions that, why is it so hard for us, for youth amongst ourselves? Why is it hard for us to start to trust one another first? Why is it that there's so much silos in what we do? And why is it that it's so hard for us to really create movements that work? When we're able to answer those questions, then I believe we will be setting ourselves to a great success and as a very sustainable movement within this region. So thank you.
Thank you so much, my leader, for that contribution. You know, he talked about Nelson Mandela. We all heard him, right? You know, and I believe even when he came out of prison, he was glad we were able to gather from the people of Tanzania. You know, the man walked a long, long walk to freedom. So we all have to see how best we can trust each other, isn't it, my brother? That's how you used to talk, right? Something like that. Something like that. Okay, so at this moment in time, we'll get into our session. Now, this is how we're going to do our session. We're not going. We'll have more like a talk show. Is that okay? So we'll pretend it's more like a TV show. So let's call this the One Young Africa TV show. Okay. So whenever you're giving your contribution, tell us where you're calling from, and then you give your statement. Is that okay? So you say your name. My name is Sheila. I'm calling from, you say the country. This is my contribution, just to make it fun. Is that okay? And then to the people on the panel, if you have memorized your speech, please, you can do away with it. We'll try to have a more engaging conversation. Is that okay? Rather than just speech. Okay, so we'll have the gender panelist as well as the peace panelist in front. I think I'll be on this other side. Is that okay, cameraman? Okay, perfect. So at this moment in time, I'd like to call upon, no, let's start this. Yeah, I need to look cool. Okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the One Young Africa TV show. You clap for me. Okay. Now, during the One Young Africa TV show, we're going to talk about gender issues and peace matters. We'll try to see how best we can answer the difficult questions within the context of gender. We'll try to see how best we can answer the difficult questions within the context of peace. And to help us to deliberate on these important topics of discussion. Allow me to introduce to you one amazing gentleman who is very inspirational and he's a go-getter. Johannes Magok John, all the way from South Sudan. You're welcome, my brother.
How do I sit?
You can sit anywhere. Johannes will be taking us in the context of gender, in the context of peace. Apologies. Next, we have Ihan Salah. Aishman, comrades, continue with the energy. Eh? Yeah. I'll give you a copy of a book. Thank you so much. Next, we have Margaret Mushi, taking us on matters of gender. And next, we have Mercy, one of the amazing ESC ambassadors. Ladies and gentlemen, dear panel, you are welcome to the One Young Africa TV show. So, as we deliberate on matters of gender and peace, we ask that you give your experiences, we ask that you give your challenges, we ask that you can be as real as possible. I know that it's very, what's the word I would like to use? Sometimes it's very challenging. We all want to sound politically correct and we all want to sound good on these platforms, isn't it? But I'm kindly asking that you be free and you speak who you are. Give us the reality of what you've done within the context of peace, the context of gender, some of the challenges, and what can, the audience that we have today, what can they actually pick up and learn from your journey as leaders in the context of peace as well as in the context of gender. But because we are a platform that doesn't like to be too serious and too organized, I would like to call upon Anita to come and give us a simple poem that will get us moving. A round of applause for Anita.
Hello. My name is Anita Komjisha, and this is something simple I wrote earlier today for us to be able to reflect as we end the summit, but also because there is one of the greatest poets I know was born on this day, and this is also in her honor because she speaks simply and beautifully about the things that matter. So, Tangerine, this is for you. A closer look. What is the measure of success? What is the mark of development? Who has set the prerequisites of a progressive community? I asked myself these questions, and the first images I saw were futuristic infrastructure, medical procedures, accountable governments, functional democracies, and evolved education systems, until a thought came to my mind that prompted me to look down first. Our voices here today are for all youth, our countrymen and women, but most importantly, our voices are for the young people that have been denied access into the spaces where they could be grown by the circumstances into which they have been born, or come into as a result of the systems that might limit us, but have forgotten them. Those are the ones we speak for. Would the youth displaced by the flooding of Lake Victoria, or River Nyamwamba, or the encroaching desert in Chad, know we were speaking about them when we talk about climate change? With the girls whose futures only entail marriage at 13 to increase the cattle herd, girls sexually abused by their fathers and considered inferior even on the playground as little girls, understand that we were fighting for them when we speak about SRHR and gender mainstreaming. If boys forced to become men of the house in Mozambique after seeing their parents slaughtered in the insurgency could hear us speak about peace and security, would they fight the horrors of their memories to hold on for the days of tranquility we say we were working towards? Would young men and women dreaming big, flying high, and having holes cut into the wings by our tax regimes and indiscriminate policies in business and politics hear their frustrations addressed by our representatives? When all the words that can be said have been said, when we have exhausted the technicalities of promise, I ask us to take a second look, a closer look, and perhaps we'll see. What we see will hasten the reconciliation of our differences, that the harsh glare of the realities of those deprived of opportunity to hope will disappear, the divides between our ideas and our action. I hope this time will have mattered. Thank you.
You go, girl. That was amazing. Please, a round of applause for Anita. Thank you so much. I think Anita gave us a wake-up call to patriotism, isn't it? To begin loving our continent more, to begin loving our countries more. Because many of us, one thing that we have to understand is that regardless which country you go to, you need to take patriotism with you like a toothbrush, isn't it? How many of us leave a toothbrush when we, none, isn't it? So even when we come to Arusha, the patriotism I have for my country, Zambia, should not remain at the border, right? When we go to various places, even when you go overseas, let people know that you're representing Africa. Because many of us, when we go to various places, we even change our accents, isn't it? You know, they ask you now, your name is Koko Morugo. You even change now. What is your name? My name is John. Where you come? I'm coming from London, you know. You Kampala, Uganda, comrade. You understand, eh? You know, so that was just something to talk about. Johannes, welcome.
Thank you very much, our host.
Indeed.
And thank you also for hosting us in One Africa TV show.
We
I'm glad to be here.
We are more than glad to have you.
And also, I feel a bit intimidated because I'm with young, brilliant ladies in the panel. But let me try. I will try to manage.
You should be intimidated. Those are future presidents.
Of course.
Johannes, the first question goes to you. Matters of peace have been you know, we've talked about, you know, peace on various platforms. You know, we have peace forums, we have peace summits. You know, we know there are so many matters happening in Central African Republic, my country, Zambia. We get to experience certain calamities during an election. The question I want to ask is, what are some, you know, of the peace ventures you've actually, you know, involved yourself in? What are some of the challenges you've experienced, and what kind of support have you garnered, you know, to champion your various causes? And what can many young people seated in this place right now learn from you as regards matters of peace?
All right, thank you very much for the questions. First of all, maybe for those who will make no idea of who I am, I just would like to introduce myself. I'm John Johannes. I'm from the land of great abundance and Eden of diversity. For those who get confused a bit, you just follow me, follow my accent, and you will figure it out where I'm from. I'm representing an organization of young, vibrant, the Nile Youth Development Action. It is an organization that is working in the Nile Basin, particularly in South Sudan, Ethiopia, and I mentioned those three countries because we are legally there. We are a registered institution in those countries. But our aspiration also goes to all 11 countries, and we're looking for promotion of socio-economic development. But development is an issue. Peace also is something, is part of it. We specifically look into issue of peace building. And this is where our activity come into a space whereby we find avenues to bring young people together, have a dialogue on how they can create peace within themselves. For instance, just to give you one example, back in South Sudan, we have those young people that are less privileged. I call them privileged because they are displaced because of conflict and wars. You see how frustrated they would be. contained in one place, anything can trigger the. So we came with a plan of how can we keep those young people busy, in a sense that we create a dialogue whereby they can share their experience, and the elders also come in on board to also share their experience. So we had a dialogue. We call it. All right. I think I'm clear, right? Okay. So we bring those young people together in a dialogue whereby they can share their experience, and also elders coming together to share their experience in a way that we build peace. We need to be a peace lovers. We know our country have undergone a lot of violence and conflict and so on, and some of them lost their loved one, brothers, fathers, and so on. So these are the specific example that I can mention in South Sudan, and it is up to now we still have those forum. We bring the IDPs youth forum together to have such kind of conversation whereby they are very clearly that, you know, what forces us into violence is because we don't have a lot of opportunities. We are contained in this small place, and sometimes it get out of control. And a little thing trigger a big things. They fight themselves, and later on you see it's a small thing, but life got lost. You know, so it's something that really it pained me sometimes because I grew in that environment. I was raised and really in an environment where war is everywhere. I see my house burn and I have to run away. My mom has to carry me. So it is an environment that I live in, and the young people that are growing today, they are also living in that environment. So it's a thing that we really want to do something out of it. So this is our local initiative back home, and we still do it. Looking into the regional aspect, yes, we had our cooperation with other young people, because you look beyond your borders as well. Nowadays we have internet. I've heard our host saying that our forefather, when they try to bring the union together, like forming the Organization of African Unity, I hope by then they don't have facilities. It is very hard for them to call maybe Julius Nyerere to get Mandela. It's not easy as such today. So we are using now the technology to get across and also partner with young people in the continent, in the region, to see how we can push agenda together. So, of course, our partnership with ULEAD is something that we appreciate. For the last 6 months, we've been together pushing for the African Continental Free Trade Area, and also development of an African youth, an African curriculum, because we have seen we don't have that spirit of Pan-Africanism in a curriculum that it can be a leadership curriculum that can teach young people our values in Africa, our African values. They're not there anymore. The programs that are in the continent, they are adapted somewhere, and sometimes interests are there. So it is us to bring our original thought and spirit and values and preach them in those forums. So these are the things that we are doing at our level, and I'm always there for you guys, our peers, to learn from each other. And our experience is what can achieve the Africa we want, and the East Africa that we want, the East Africa which is integrated, that we see all of us in that harmony and driving the agenda that fit for all of us. Without peace, I believe we can't do anything. We are here because now we feel that we are home, we are peace, we can breathe and talk and have a better conversation. But if we are hearing a sound of gun somewhere, this place could be empty. You know, so it's this thing that we wish not to happen for our continent, but unfortunately things are going the otherwise. But we shouldn't give up. We need to push harder for us to achieve the peaceful and prosperous and integrated Africa we all want. Thank you very much. I will stop there. I will resubmit maybe later on.
Profound.
Give these brilliant young ladies a chance also to say something. Thank you very much.
Profound. Thank you so much. Please. Thank you so much, Johannes. I believe it's Kofi Annan who said that we can't envision security without peace. Neither can we envision peace without inclusive development. And something that you've talked about right now is something that we really have to take into consideration. This question goes to you, Ms. Salah. what when we talk of issues of peace, many people might think it's only an agenda that should be, championed by men. It should be an agenda that should only be championed by a particular category of people. As a young lady, what do you think is the role of young women in championing matters of peace? Taking into full consideration that as of last year, 2020, we are talking about silencing the guns. What do you think is the role of young women in championing matters of peace and security in our continent?
Thank you very much, host. My name is Ilhan Ali. I work with Agents of Peace Kenya, which is an organization that works on prevention and countering of violent extremism. I'm also here courtesy of Arigato International and Child Poverty as one of the partners who have sent us here to represent them at this summit for the Yuli 2021. So to come back to your question on the role of young women in peace building, as our speaker in that day talked to us, until we beat the violence of exclusion, we cannot beat the violence of extremism. And in matters of exclusion, I believe for us to all attain peace or come up with a peace that is for all, by all, ladies and young women should be included. Therefore, they play a very vital role in the community in championing for peace and solving community conflicts and mitigating them at an early stage before they escalate to more violent and cause more war and violence. So to come back to my area of speciality, or rather what I'm most passionate about, which is prevention and countering of violent extremism, we work with young children, with them at the grassroots level from the younger age, to unradicalize their mind. Actually, I believe engaging them at such a young age is more important. Some people actually go against us and say you shouldn't be exposing them to such content, or rather teaching them. However, I believe if we don't teach them and radicalize them, the violent groups will come and radicalize them and take them away. So I think that's my role as a young woman in peace building is really vital in preventing and countering of violent extremism. Thank you.
Profound. Please. I think in one of the right, people that have written on child development, they say, give me a child, and at the age of 7, I will show you the man, or I'll show you the woman. And I think that's true with what you're doing, picking up young, little kids and trying to see how you can, inculcate in some of these young people the right values of promoting peace and championing peace building. Margaret, gender has been a topic of discussion in Africa. And I can safely say that we can tap ourselves on the back as Africa. I feel we are slowly but sure moving in the right direction. The previous vice president we had in my country was female. The current vice president we have in my country is also female. So I think we are moving in the right direction. Many high-level positions in my country and in many other countries, such as Rwanda, and I can go on and on. We have women championing the cause of development. The question I want, what do you think are some of the challenges that are hindering us to achieve that gender environment, gender-sensitive environment that we have, and how can we inculcate that same mentality in some of our people that are so much, culturally built, especially in the chiefdoms and in the villages and all that kind? How can we develop such kind of a mindset?
Thank you, moderator. My name is Margaret Gift Mushi. I'm a practicing advocate of the High Court of Tanzania, and I'm an author of several books, and some of them I have them with me here. And I'm an executive director of an NGO called Girls Redemptive Foundation. It's here in Arusha. Let me go straight to the question on the challenges on how to implement gender issues. There are a lot of challenges, as moderator started by elaborating the issue of culture and chiefdom and taboos. That's one of the challenges when we're administering the issue of gender. There are some societies in Tanzania, for example, Maasai, Sukuma, and many other tribes, women are seen like inferior people and they cannot do anything. Now, when we come out with the issue of gender equity, gender equality, it's like they try to show us, men, they try to show us that it's like we are giving pride to women and we want women to step on their heads, something which is not true. We believe there is a role of a man and a woman, but when they see NGOs empowering some women in some communities, they see like you want women to take over the family. And it's the reality and it's the way it is. They say that when you give a woman a seed, she gives you what? Yeah, we are multipliers. So when a woman is empowered with mindset transformation, she develops some positive issues in the family, in the community, and the house become a better place. Now, a man in the families where they are somehow illiterate, they see like, this woman want to step on my head, want to take my position as a father, something which is not really. So that is one of the challenge that we incur when we administer the issue of gender equity. The other issue that we come across is the issue of financial. Most of the places that women need to be empowered, they're interior places. And to go to those areas, we have to have a lot of money to travel to those places, but also we have to go there to assist them with something like knowledge, capital, or something where they can start, or a center where they can go and get some training. So fund is highly needed so that we can reach those women and we can empower them for some time so that they can get a way of how to go on with other issues. So those are the main two challenges I see when it comes to issue of gender.
Profound. Thank you so much, Margaret. Marcy, being an EAC ambassador, I believe, championing matters of young, including young people, especially young women, in decision-making bodies. I think that's something that's very important. The question I want to ask is, how do you think we can develop a Pan-African feminist culture in the 21st century? Pan-African feminism. How can we champion that in the 21st century? What's the role of young women?
Thank you very much. My name is Mercy Awino Abeno. I am Ugandan, and I'm the Deputy EAC Youth Ambassador. I am also a final year law student, so I am not attached to an organization or working at one. I am on my way there.
Thank you, Council.
So, yeah. So when you look at Pan-African feminism, and generally how we can champion the rights and the needs of the African woman, the first thing that we have to understand is that because Africa is so culturally diverse, different groups of women experience different kinds of oppression. And so that means that we cannot have a one strategic approach towards solving the problems of these women. We have to document the specific and peculiar experiences of different categories of women and find ways in which to address those challenges. And the problem that we usually have, especially by elite feminists, those that have gone to school, it's that they don't usually look at the challenges that the rural woman actually faces. So their solutions are those that can apply to the elite circle only. Mostly, let me say. And then, but you see, for example, if you come up with a strategy that, all women should be respected at the workplace, right? Obviously, that is a very good thing. However, when you look at the rural woman who does not have access, that kind of approach is not meaningful to them. So that means that we have to go and interact closely with these rural women and negotiate something with them that is meaningful to their situation. right? So just because a certain approach is meaningful to women in a certain category doesn't mean then that it will be meaningful to another woman in a certain category. Right. So we have to have a comprehensive approach towards addressing the challenges of various women and find out what is meaningful to them. And you see, most times when you look at cultural relativists, they say that, you know, in my culture, this is what it's supposed to be, and it's majorly about gender roles. But what we have to understand is that feminism is not about women not wanting to cook. No, it's not about women wanting to be to be the heads of the family. No, we just want our voices to be considered, to be respected when we are at the decision-making table. And for a person that has maybe had access to such spaces that we have, we also have challenges that are specific to us. So a man might not look at me and think that, oh, this one should go and wash my clothes, you know, and all this, but they're probably going to look at me and say that this woman is probably one that doesn't want to get married. And so because they are now threatened. But we also have to understand and sensitize people, but also unpack the stereotypes that people already have, and know that because there are the various factors that inform the social and economic realities that we have, we then need to desensitize ourselves. We need to learn and unlearn some practices that we have grown up with in order to know and appreciate where we have reached right now, and to also come up with strategies for the future. So that is really something that I need policymakers and feminists to consider in their struggle for gender equality. Thank you.
Yo, it's fire in here, ne? Thank you so much, Mercy, for that. And Mercy, I'll tell you, you'll be a powerful litigator. Yeah, I'm prophesying. You'll be a powerful litigator. At this moment in time, I would open the floor to our audience. I think you've all heard what this amazing panel has said. Let's hit them with the questions. Let's give our contributions, and let us see how we can rethink areas of peace and matters of gender. So brace yourselves for the questions and brace yourself for some of the contributions that are actually coming your way. I'll start with this side, and then I'll come this side. Is that okay? Thank you very much. Sheila.
Thank you so much. Thank you, our dear panelists. Thank you for giving us a lot of information. Mine is, I usually want us to speak, and I'm happy that the experiences that we have spoken, that the panelists have spoken, are the true life experiences. And I ask people this, that how many of us have people who stay with us in our homes? Do we have baby minders? Can we raise our hands if you have a baby minder? Women, if you have somebody helping you take care of the baby. So I ask women, how much do you pay your baby minder? How do you treat homes? Do they eat on the same dining table with your children? Just to begin with. So sometimes the conversation has to shift from the academic rhetoric to the real practical things in life. We need to be conscious that our actions and inactions perpetuate inequality and cause hyper inequality in all spheres of life. So I have an experience where women, and I'm happy that we need to write that these categories of women, that the women who live, we don't even call them rural women, they just live in the rural areas. And then there are women who do not have an opportunity to be in school. And then there are women who are living with disabilities. And then there are women who are living with HIV and AIDS. All these experience inequality at different levels. So when we are having programs and policies directed, do we go back and plot the graph and check and see what are the requirements of women who are living with HIV and AIDS? What do they require? What are the challenges that they go through? What are the challenges of the women living in the urban areas, so that as we're having the unpaid care work campaign, other women don't pull out of the campaign because they don't see it meaningful. There are women who are comfortable. Mercy said about cooking. If the cooking is going to delay the girl child to enter class at 8 a.m., then cooking becomes a problem, and that is where feminism comes to tackle the barrier. And therefore we say, okay, let's share the work. Let's distribute the work within the household equally. If washing clothes is going to bar me from reaching the health center to get the vaccine on time, and I'll miss it, then there needs to be a mechanism within the household of sharing work equally so that I am also able to reach the health facility and get vaccinated. This is the lens feminism comes in. We don't want your positions as a man because you have too many problems to bear. And you can't bear ours naturally. So we just need opportunities and access. And this is where we need to tackle. The other is that, to whom is this afternoon conversation to? Where are the people we are talking to? Are we talking to ourselves? And this is where young people, we also need to get serious. We are so many, but look at the empty chairs. It's quite embarrassing. I'm sure the cameramen are trying to find a strategic position that will capture pictures of us, because the world out there is like they have caucused there to talk about young people, but where are they? So the moment we also start changing our own attitudes and be here, and I want us to give ourselves a hand clap for us who have been here all through consistently. And I'm sure that you need to have parameters and criterion of selection for delegates. It's not going to have everyone to come. It's not, the book says, who has moved my cheese? It's not a cup of tea. It's not a walk in the park. The journey that we have started, the movement, is going to tackle the structural issues, and therefore you must have courage of conviction and resilience. Otherwise, you will fall out of this race. And I'm warning you, if you're here to take selfies, this is not the right place, because we have the whole of Africa on our backs. So I expect people who are out there taking ice cream to know that this is not a conversation of the faint-hearted. Where are the young people? All of us would love to go to Arusha town, Kilimanjaro, and so on. But we are here discussing matters. And then tomorrow, when you're given position of authority, and then you start being corrupt. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are here, we work for organizations. If you can't keep time, you can't keep money. If you're not result-oriented, you can never be a leader. So let us tackle the systemic issues that we cover. And so very much of us young people, we do not want to scratch the wound. We want to wrap a bandage around it. But sometimes we are a headache. We don't organize ourselves. We do not know what we want. Where are we? So I want us to understand the peculiar challenges that women and men go through. I handle cases, as I end, I handle cases. It's very terrible. It's very terrible. Listen to the voices of the women and the men. And do you know why right now I've received a case here of a woman who has just battered a stepchild? It's because her husband used to beat her, so she has taken it. That's why women are very dangerous. When they revenge, have conversations with women. So she has taken it on the child because there is no space. So these are cases that we receive. Boys too are at threat. Gender anybody extinct. Otherwise, this world will not be a right place for us. We need each other. I submit.
Shida, can I take a selfie with you? Sure. But you said no selfies. We'll do it.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Sheila. Thank you, panelists, for the very wonderful deliberations. I'm very happy that we're having this conversation. And I'm only sad that our policymakers are not here when we're speaking about something as very important as women's role in peace building. And we know that this is a very timely conversation, that the regions that are represented here have either dealt with conflict or are currently dealing with conflict or potential of conflict happening. So we cannot discuss all these wonderful things we're talking about without reflecting on the approaches being used in peace building in our countries. Policymakers, which I still will address with them, is even with the existence of all these wonderful UN Security Council resolutions that we have, some of the policies we have in our countries around peace building, do not properly address the stereotypes when it comes to women's participation in peace building. I'll specifically make reference to young women. Usually they're lumped up in the categorization. When we talk about young women, we're being specific. Sometimes we break down the categories of women. Like Mercy said, we have a lot of diversity. And so our policies should be very specific and acknowledge these diversities if they must, impact our society. Many times you realize that we are lost when it comes to conflict prevention. Women are reflected in our policies as victims of conflict. The reference made there mostly is restricted to their protection and also their protection against discrimination, but not as key players. There's no acknowledgement of their transformative role in peace building. And for me as a person, that's what I want to see reflected in my policies, that we're being acknowledged not just as victims of war, that young women, just like young men and others, are acknowledged for their role in conflict prevention. And I believe that that is a conversation that we need to continuously have to ensure that we can document at the end of the day, when we're monitoring the effectiveness of these very wonderful policy frameworks, that we're able to reflect how much women in their diversity have participated and contributed to the discourse of peace building in our region. Thank you.
No on this side. Okay. No, comrade first. Go first. This side. Is it okay, Marina? Oh, say it.
It's okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Liza from Tanzania. And first of all, I'm glad to be here. This is my second day out of the 5. I've been coming and going due to the tightened timetable. I would like just to, first of all, to appreciate what the panelists have discussed, but I will concentrate much on the issue concerning gender inequality and gender issues. I am a pastoralist, I am a Maasai. And most of these issues we have to agree that it comes from our generation, the history that we have from generation to generation. In pastoralist communities, it is very true that women are regarded as nothing. And even on the issue concerning inheritance, women do not have right to inherit anything. And this issue has been there from generation to generation. Of course, I know that even sometimes we use some of the scriptures to defend ourselves, some of the religion issues to attack these ladies who keeps our family safe, whom when I came in the evening, they will prepare a meal for me. But we do not see them as people. And I think the former speaker commented, who are we speaking to? But I think, in my view, we do not need an old man who have been having this tradition from years to years to come and try to change things. I think it comes from us. When we cut the chain of the action that has been happening, we can bring a change into our tradition. We can acknowledge the contribution of these young ladies, or our mothers, our sisters, which has been they have been bringing a lot of changes. And I can assure you, even Madam Advocate there can attest, there are a lot of women, we have at least to admit that we are not like we are yesterday. We have tried as a pastoralist, as the communities, we're trying to bring changes. Now the girls go to school, something of which in many years ago, it was a story to them. Even for them, taking a girl to school in my community, by then the parents doesn't love the child. But they can attest. Now we have example of women of whom we have educated, we have given them the chance, and they have come to do more than what 100 men, 1 million men have never done in their communities.
That is a true, we have a testimonies, and they have been fighting. Her name is Maanda Ngotiko. She has been one of the activists. She has they call Pastoralist Community Forum, Community Council, PWC. And do you know what the massive men say? PWC stand for Pigia Wanaume Chini. Just imagine that these women, they are fighting to bring us down. But I think when we are going here, let it be one of our resolutions from every one of us to our communities. Let God try to cut the flow of the tradition that is not friendly to our ladies. Let us be the change we want to see. I wish that when we come next year here, everybody will say, okay, I went, I did this and this. I don't know what I can say, but I have been always trying to tell my community the importance of allowing ladies to do so. I'm a project consultant and also a researcher. One time we were doing one of the research that is yet to be published concerning one of the tradition that of the, we call very young, they don't know even their mothers. It has a very meaningful importance on practice, but yet we find that women are the most affected by this tradition because they do not have any inheritance. So we have to give them, we have to take the right of them knowing their parents, and at the end of the day, they will go and face a lot of challenge, a lot of issues that will affect them psychologically. I think the time is not enough, but we will share much more until when we are here. Thank you. My brother, thank you so much. Say that you're powerful.
Pardon?
Say that I'm powerful.
I am powerful.
You need to affirm yourself, okay? Okay. Who else had a hand? Don't worry, I'll come inside.
Hello. Just when it comes to peace matters, I think we need to have very important discussions on issues like statelessness, the risk of statelessness as a long-term effect of peace and security issues in different countries. And at the same time, it's very important to talk about identity crisis that tends to happen to most people who tend to grow up outside their country. We need to talk about such issues when it comes to peace and security affairs, especially the future of people past the, what's the standard age bracket once you become an adult? 18 years old. Your life after 18, because you'll always be a minor and belong to the state until you're 18. But if you cannot go back to your country because it's not peaceful, where exactly do we draw the line when it comes to such issues? How comes we don't have that on the table? How comes we don't talk about how terrible statelessness and identity crises tend to lead to recurrent poverty cycles that actually affect the regions and continents as well? How comes we never have that on the table? And until we have that discussion, then maybe that's when our leaders are going to understand that their decisions determine the future of their citizens. So I'm hoping we can have that discussion at one point or the other. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Moses Zongo. Thank you for this opportunity. First of all, I must recommend all the panelists for the wonderful presentations. Quite a lot has been shared, and I really want to commend them on that. On matters peace, last year, 2020, was the year of silencing the guns. So I love to hear more of this conversation on the review processes, or the success stories or the failures of that. You all understand that this year we are dealing with the matters of youth, culture, and heritage, having moved away from last year's goal of silencing the guns. Yet I think, in my view, the guns were even louder than other years. So we have not had a review process to tell us where did we succeed in silencing the guns, where did we fail in silencing the guns. I think that's something that we should really look into, have a review process, see where we went wrong, see what we did right, what we did wrong, and how can we improve maybe in the years to come. Maybe something more to recommend based on this. I know that maybe from here we'll not have another chance to speak, but I would like to recommend the following. Maybe if you allow me, a shift in the programming. Today you'll all agree with me that we had quite rich content, the Gasape SN, and also the honorable member from Tanzania who presented Ismail B. Those are the things that are supposed to be presented on the first day in the presence of His Excellency, and also all the leadership of the East African community. Such rich ideas. Somebody is constructing a helicopter from Burundi, a radio station and television station, and a social media platform. Those are things that are supposed to be aired on the very first day. Now look at the day at which they have been brought, a day that almost everybody has gone to. Yes, a day that people have gone for shopping, a day that people have gone to do their own stuff, and others have already traveled out. So the leadership, maybe the people, we could raise those concerns, and maybe they could help us to have them implemented as quick as possible, and not in our midst. So why should we bring such a forum on the very last day of the summit, yet the people whom we wanted to pitch the ideas to are not? Because I'm quite sure that the leadership that is in this place could not present the same issues to the leadership as the person doing that will have articulated the same. So I love to have a shift in the program, to have those matters brought in the first days of the summit. Also, on the issue of the conduction of the programs in this place, we know very well that there are three main languages to be used in this place. That's English, Swahili, and French. So I love to see the leadership see to that we stick to those three languages. And also, the other day when the Right Honorable Kassim Majaliwa was giving his speech in Swahili, I sat near a group of my Tanzanian counterparts, and they were really glad that he was speaking in a language they were most familiar with, because for the past 2 days, they were actually floating on some of the matters that are being raised in English. So I would really love to see that happen, such that all the languages are used for the sake of understanding, so that some of us don't float. And on that note, for the records, as being a journalist, I volunteer to translate anything English, Swahili, or Swahili English, so that we can have a more prosperous region.
Thank you so much, my leader. Have you received the evaluation form? It should be sent to your email. So put all those in form, okay? So that actually they can, it's on camera, comrades. They've seen it, eh? Don't worry.
Thank you, One Young TV. I'm Pauline, calling from Kenya. So one speaker said on the day one that we teach our young children not to talk against authority. And this is actually a challenge that we are getting. And as you're talking about gender inequality, I want to bring the intersectionality of inequalities. We have seen young people being told to leave the seats they were sitting in, yet those seats were not labeled reserved just because someone who's in authority is needed to sit there. I think there's a societal change that we need to address, and it has to come from us. This will take us to a place. In my home area, there's still a place when we have those chief barazas. Women will carry lesos to sit down because the chairs are meant for the men. These are things we actually have to talk about, and we have to start them individually. Here, it's quite unfortunate that a community of persons who are deaf was actually totally left out. I think these are changes that need to be made going forward. We are one young Africa, and we are holding each and everyone's hand as we move towards going forward. As we mentioned about intersectionality, persons, young women with disabilities, not only young women, but every person with disability, women of the LGBTQ, women living in rural areas, we have to hold each other's hand as we move forward. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. So this is what I'm going to do. going to. Is it okay if I can come back to the audience just after maybe I get a 1 minute response from our panelists? Is that okay? You see that I'm very democratic, eh? Yes. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I'll require a 1 minute reaction from what has been established from the floor. Is that okay? So I'll start with you, Margaret. 1 minute reaction from what the panelists, the audience have said.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. On my side, I think there are some changes that has been made on the issue of gender. We are really empowering women, but I think the mind of men also need to be empowered. I don't know if the English that I'm using is correct. We also need to transform some men mentality when we're empowering women. Because it seems like when we're empowering women and young girls, men sees it like we want them to be on top of them. So what NGOs, even government officials, also the medias should keep a certain level to show that what the community or what other organization is doing to empower young girls and women is to assist and to pull up first the family to grow economically, to change the status and the lifestyle that they're living, but also to make them to become better people who they can discover their potentials and use them while they are here to the fullness. That is one of the things that I think is important to be updated. And the other thing that I see, it has to be
incorporated.
Yeah, is the issue of laws. There are a lot of laws need to be amended. As my fellow Liza said, the issue of Masa is there are some traditional laws, customary laws in Tanzania, they are used, which they said women, they don't have right to use land. And they are used in the community and even in court those days. But the amendment are not yet done. So amendment of laws should be the thing, but also the laws that contradict to each other. The president to be passed or amendment to be done by the parliaments, so that to keep a certain level that it is known, girls all need to be educated. A woman and a man, they all have to work equally to bring something at home. It's not a must that a mother has to stay at home and a father has to go and bring something to the family. So I think there is a certain level of equality is needed so that to keep, it's not equality in everything, but the balance. That is what I mean. Thank you.
Perfect. Marcy? Your 1 minute reaction to what has come from the floor.
So much has come from the floor that if I have 1 minute to talk about everything, it's really, it would be inadequate. However, I just want to start from where the lady from Kenya stopped. Yeah, she talked about the intersectionality of inequalities. And that is something that really exists together when you compound it with the social construct that already exists about gender roles and positions of, you know, women and men in society. And so when you look at the fact that one, as a young woman, and, you know, when Mercy was speaking, the other Mercy, you know, she talked about the fact that as young women, sometimes our needs are categorized under other categories. And so somehow in the mix of it all, your specific needs are blurred. And so you realize that in the end, even when they're coming to say that, you know, we're helping you, you find that you're not addressed at all. So now when you say, one, you're a youth, already, you're already looked at as someone who shouldn't really speak and all. Then add on to the fact that you're also a woman. So now you're experiencing two inequalities. Then she said something very, and I know it's a sensitive thing because people don't usually want to talk about it, the issue of sexuality and sexual orientation, LGBTQI and all. I remember there was a time we were having consultation on the peace and security document for the EAC, and I said something about having specific needs for these minority groups, and everyone just shut down, like, no, it's not an EAC policy, and we can't do this. But the reality is these people exist. Yeah. And for how long are you going to shy away from the fact that they exist and that you don't want to talk about it because it's against organization policy? We have to face these things and look at them and actually address them. So as an LGBTQI person, already, if someone who is not even part of your community, if someone speaks about it, they shut them down. Imagine how you, as a young woman who's non-binary or who's lesbian, would be treated if you came out about, like, in that space. So we need to stop shying away from things that embarrass us. We need to stop shying away from things that we think should not see the light of day. Right? So we need to because people think that when you're educated, then you've actually learned stuff. But education sometimes is about unlearning things. The bad manners that you've learned from when you were young, unlearn it, and start learning new things. So we just need to make sure that even the things that were not previously talked about, we talk about them such that we can have a better and more comprehensive policy and legislation to cater for the needs, especially of those minority groups who are very laws catering for them. Thank you.
Profound, Mercy, profound. The bad manners you learned in school, eh? The bad manners. Let us unlearn the bad manners we learned in school. Johannes, please talk to us. Your reaction.
Well, the thing that I pick from the conversation and contribution of our participants is the question of who are we speaking to? And if you look into ourselves and if you ask yourself, if you have, for example, the gens, if you look into yourself and ask yourself, do I have a sister? Do I have a brother? Do I have a cousin? Do I have a mother? You see, more or less you are linked to other gender. And also the otherwise, the ladies also, they are linked to the other gender. So if we are talking about gender in peace, it's good if we have the policymakers in place, but not necessarily to have them for us to speak what we see as a role of gender in peace and security. So we can have it as a conversation here, even at home level, because domestic violence is not at home. Because if misunderstanding can be created in that house, because a home is an institution, and if it messed up and you have all the violence, what will not make it the whole country to go chaos? Because at the end of the day, you go to your work and you do the same, right? So it should start at home level. That equality that we are looking into in aspiration for a peaceful society, and in the support for our women, we need to look at it at home level. The other things, when we come to peace building, more or less we see men are there, and the participation of women are less. And if we go to war, the opposite of peace, we have seen women participating in the act of war, supporting their peers to go for whatever cause they are fighting for. This is a sign of courageous. So when we come to peace, we also need to see them on our tables, negotiating and breaking peace that a nation can also enjoy. So it's a matter of pushing the institution, and we have that power as a young people to draft, even not necessarily you bring a policy, go and present it, be the radio, and like our young MPs today, we give them that pressure and they tell us, please, you come to us, we are available at the parliament. So it is such avenues that you use to push for your agenda that you want. We have the power and we have the means. We only need to utilize them in a way that it fit our needs and also it address our priorities. This is what I want just to comment on.
Profound,
Thank you very
Johannes.
much.
Thank you so much. Madam President Ihan, your reaction.
My 1 minute insight on what the people have said is I'll pick on what the lady from South Sudan who stays in Kenya started with, because I could relate with that most. As a Kenyan Somali, an ethnic Somali who lives in Kenya, facing the issue of stereotype, first being a Muslim woman, a Somali woman and then a young woman in peace building, it's very, very tough because you might find yourself on the side of the people looking for solutions, while on the other side you're seen as the one who's trying to get people on the other side, while your intentions are totally different from what people believe are. So it's really hard being stereotyped and having to live within a community you've lived in, you're born in, but they see you as an outsider. I've lived among Kenyans. I can relate more to the Kikuyu, to the Luo, more than the Somalis, because I've studied with them, played with them from my childhood. And now that when I grow up and I'm doing something for the community, they see you on the other end, it's quite saddening. But however, we still don't lose hope. We still don't lose hope. There's still people who support the cause, people who encourage you. And I think that's what really keeps us going. On the other aspect of gender, all these policies and the resolutions that are put in place, for women, it's all about protection. She's the one who's going to lose her husband, protect her. She'll lose her son, protect her. She'll be raped, protect her. So I think, and we are not against that. It's actually good to take care of the woman. But however, kindly include us in the decision-making table. Kindly ask us our opinion, and we'll be more than glad to contribute to the cause. Thank you.
Profound. Thank you so much, Ihan. When I come back to you, please prepare the Africa that you envision within the context of what you talked about. In just 30 seconds, you tell us the Africa that I envision in the context of peace is A, B, C, and D. The Africa that I envision in the context of gender is A, B, C, and D. As we take the last session of contributions, reactions, or questions from the audience. So I would ask that whoever has a question, whoever has a contribution, we have our hands raised so that we can. So we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, and we have 4. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. This is Faraji from Tanzania, representing Innovate Hub and the Young Diasporans. The first thing that I wanted to mention is that I know we have been talking about policies, we have been talking about, I don't know, different stuff that we want to implement and have been documented, but let's start by asking ourselves that how many of us know those policies? Like serious, like how many of us know those policies? And if we do, for those who don't know those policies, because most of them don't even know how to read. They don't understand what is written there. The funny thing is, I won't mention who, here, as we were proceeding with some days on the conferences, there were people who were coming and be like, hey bro, I see you're talking a lot. What is this all about here? Some of our colleagues were asking, what are we talking about? And we're talking about representation, right? So what are we representing and what are we going to do? So I want us, all of us, to ask ourselves, because my dear sister Sheila has just mentioned here about taking ice creams, people having fun, taking photos. We have been telling ourselves we have to make sure that ULEAD is known and everyone is hearing it. But is it about just hearing? Is it about just posting on the photos? Brother, I'm sorry, he mentioned that he wants to be seen in the video. But I think it's beyond this. To be heard, sometimes it's not about being heard by yourself. Because once you start doing, this guy who started working on the ideas since he was young, until today we're clapping for him for making different things, he didn't wait for the media to show him what he was doing. He just decided and started doing it. So dear young brothers and sisters, this is a message to all of us, that what we have to do right now is not wait for the policymakers. Because even when we're making those policies, most of people don't know how to read them. There was a very good example of question that was asked here, that how many of us that we have baby takers at home, right? It's not about a woman who is hiring a baby taker, even a husband, you have to be responsible for that. That's your family. The woman is raising your kid. And if you let it happen like that, you don't even understand what is happening. What type of kid are you raising? So we have to be very careful when it comes to everything that concerns us and our families, because we are the first people who are concerned there. It's very sad to see a man waking up in the morning, coming back at home and sleep, and the next day you're just out, And then when something happens, you're like, when did it happen? So we have to put that in our minds. Brothers, sisters, that's the first thing I wanted to mention. But second, it's something that I wanted to mention earlier. It's about country issues discussion as on the topics mentioned. Yes, we want policymakers, we want all of those people, but I think, and I'm suggesting that for the next forum, this is for the team that they're preparing. Can we have our government representatives here with us from all the countries? Let it be 1, 2, 3 representatives and have debates to discuss solutions according to the practices we have in our countries. The true fact is, today what we have witnessed with our Sudanese friends here is the outcome of the, South Sudanese, I'm sorry. It's because of the same case. We are having representatives from South Sudan. We have representatives from Uganda. I don't have even a single representative from Tanzania. We don't have representative from Kenya, from Rwanda. And for those who are coming, they're just on the calls, and I'm not 100% sure how much they're taking in terms of notes and all that on implementation. So what I'm suggesting, instead of them coming here, sitting, and then we start arguing, let's just, first of all, prepare issues that we're facing in our countries before we come here. The strategy that we want to suggest is, the delegates that are here right now, we formulate teams as we're going home. The question that I can ask for those who attended last year, most of people are not here. And we have to take the progress of activities, right? So if today I'm new, this is my first ULID, and I'm here, I don't know what others discussed last year, but I'm here to represent what happened last year, right? So what am I representing if it's not taking what I have today, and then tomorrow another person will come and then take to do, and then there's no progress at all? I've been told that there's always reports. But how many of you, even for those who attended last year, that read the report, understood what was happening, know what was going on, and then they came here to ask questions and make sure that it's implemented? How many of us? Let's be honest. How many of us saw the report of last year, the things that was agreed, and those that was implemented, and that was missing? How many? There was a question that was asked here, and there was an answer that last year we agreed on 1, 2, 3, but we didn't do this, and we think we have to move to something else. What was the point of discussing those things? If we failed implementing and we cannot look into them and decide how we're moving forward into implementing those things, are we going to come here every time and try to change and do something new? So I don't see the point of having deep discussions over many, many things that we won't have actions upon them, or we won't have progress. So my first call, because we're giving suggestions, I'm sorry I took a lot of time. 1, the delegation that we're here right now, I suggest that we create teams. How are we going to do that? Once we leave here, we have to create a report that needs to come back to ULID, telling what we have learned, what we have taken here. When people are applying, before they come, I would suggest for the team that if it's possible, to have the list of people who have applied previous year and have a discussion of what happened so that people know exactly what they're coming to do. And discuss matters that really concern according to the progress of what we're having, rather than just always selecting people just for the sake of coming here and discuss and being seen. That's my first call. My second call, it comes to the opportunities that we're having. Can we have all of the individuals of us representing companies, NGOs, different organizations? Can we all come together, map out our organizations, have a single portal that every young person who want to participate on this kind of activities go there and take opportunity? The problem that we are facing is that every single event we are going is the same faces. The same faces discussing the same issues and be like, bro, you're so cool. I have been seeing you there several times. Bro, I have seen you. Your contribution was amazing. Is that all what we're looking for? So let's create one single portal that will allow every young person who is really interested in making changes to visit those people and choose the opportunities that they're looking for. Because most of our young people are not participating because they don't have where they can find these opportunities. And if you look at it, we are the only people who know where to get the opportunities. I was so shocked. A few days ago, I had a meeting with my colleagues of Tanzania, 4 organizations who are supporting each other's EAC, I think the peace, there were like 4. We just met there and I was like, guys, I don't know you. But all of us, we have to work together. You see? So this is my second recommendation. Please, each country, if we can organize yourselves, have a portal, and then we can have the East African portal with all the countries together, with all the opportunities, so that those young people that we're not reaching can be able to go by themselves and look for the opportunities that they're looking for and make sure that they solve those opportunities. And the last thing is, for the conferences that I've attended before, at least one of them that I really liked the case practice and we can use it here. Please, sir, you're part of the organization, right? Of this event. If it's possible, among the 5 days that is coming here and stuff, let's do something on one of the youth ULIT summits or forums. Let's go out there and do something by ourselves. Activity that we can go and show people outside. Let's say a 1 day full of us going outside, train people, educate people, if it's something that will lead a mark for people to know that ULEAD is existing and this is the activity that they have done this year to show people that this is possible. Because if we keep on talking here and telling our representatives or whoever to just go and themselves do, that will never happen, guys. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. I don't know how many, most of us came here with agendas from our companies or our organizations, and that's what we're serving. How many of us are planning by themselves to go out and do something? Most probably none. So let's just have an activity that at least 1 day of the 5 days, all of us will be like, okay, fine. We talked about gender. We're in Arusha. Brother Liza knows a village where they don't know about policies. They don't know about education, about women and whatever. Let's go there, sit with them, discuss with them, explain to them, take their opinions and showcase to the world that this is what you're supposed to be doing. Thank you very much.
My brother, that was powerful. Say that. Say I'm powerful.
I'm powerful.
That was great. Please, a round of applause for him. So, like I said, in the evaluation form, all those powerful ideas, please take them there. Take them. Now you see, Ihan and someone else here talked about minorities. He said East Africa, Porto. Comrade, I'm from Sadik, so why are you sidelining me? Eh? Aye.
Okay, so I'll try to speak from the youth perspective. I'm just gonna come out of the organizers and all. As a young person, 2 things that I've noticed about the ULID journey is that ULID is evolving, okay? And we have to appreciate the journey that the ULID has had from when it started until today. One thing I must tell you guys is that 2 years ago, we did not have what we're having this year. Having all these numbers of MPs, policymakers coming, like top level officials in our government coming to address us, it's something different. And we must appreciate that. Now, there are always lessons learned, right? We've been always longing to have these officials coming to speak to us and to share what are they doing about the issues that we're concerned about, but also for us to be able to showcase what are we doing lamenters, right? So something that we need to do, given the fact that now ULID is changing from just being the summit alone into a forum, it means that ULID needs to have a strategy. ULID needs to have a strategy so that every time we meet here for the summit, we're able, as my brother said there, we're able to pinpoint the issues that we've worked on a national level and the things that we want to address on the regional level. So we usually have pre-summit activities that are nationally based. So every country is supposed to do some activities before we get here. And I know there's been some struggle also from from the MS team into getting the commitments from the local players into doing some activities that can later on come to be replicated into what is done at the regional level. So instead of just also putting all the responsibilities to the MS team, we also, as the representative of our organizations in our respective countries, we need to ask ourselves, what can we do in order to be able to have the agenda that we can come and present here, so that this becomes the platform not only to showcase about what we do in our national level, but to showcase some of the good work that we're doing, some of the narrative that can be borrowed from one country to another, but also for the policymakers to see the effectiveness of the hard work that we're putting, so that they can also see the viability of coping and learn from such initiatives, because sometimes it does not work by just saying that you're failing in ABCD. Sometimes you just have to show the model. You know, like you've been trying to do ABCD, but it's not working. Have you seen this model being done in country ABCD and working to this level, such that they're able to see with evidence about the effectiveness of some of the things that we're trying to do. So let's work on the strategy so that we clearly know what are the milestones that we are setting. And the creation of this strategy for the forum should be consultative, such that the youth themselves from their respective countries are able to share what they're aspiring. Yesterday, I raised a point about the manifesto. That could be a starting point. Let's do a consultative process to hear the voices of the youth, so that we develop the agenda from the concerns that were raised. And then we create a strategy around it to say, these are the issues that were raised by the youth. And we're not just leaving the responsibilities to the policymakers to address them, but we, as the non-state actors, are committing to do 1, 2, 3. And in our respective countries, we will not work in silos, because ULEAD is a consortium. I hope everyone knows. It's a consortium that is open for any organization to join in. And it has always been open like that. Okay? So, if Tanzania has a consortium, and we know each other, Rwanda also has a consortium, Kenya has a consortium, we need now to go back and sit down to say, as a country, how are we going to mobilize our peers so that they can have an active participation in the forum? What is that agenda that we want to present in the next ULEAD? Because I remember even when they were preparing the agenda, there was some consultation that were done. There were the links that were shared to the network. People are being asked, what do you want to be the agenda for this year? Who do you want to come as a speaker? I'll be lying if I say I did not see that. And that it was widely being shared. And there's been a lot of virtual conversations going on before this ULEAD happened. So I think we're missing the link because of the silos that are existing. If we break that silo, and from the country's perspective, we start to work together as one. And I mentioned about the competition, because I know the effect of competitions, because most of the time we start to, when we don't work as one, everyone has an agenda, and everyone now starts to use the back doors, use this door so that the agenda can be passed. So at the end of the day, we find ourselves like getting difficult to enter into one door because everyone wants to get into the door at the same time. So we need to work on those structural issues. We need to get into the strategy that we know, and we clearly hold ourselves into account to say this year we planned to address A, B, C, D. And by the time we went to the summit, these are the things that were done. These are the things that are still pending, and they're pending because of 1, 2, 3. So that we can also have an avenue to say, we're failing in this doctrine because of 1, 2, 3. And when the policymakers come, they can see that we are very much organized, we have an agenda, and we have the right questions, and we have the right recommendations to give it to them, and we have the right order and the right procedure to follow on what they're doing about these issues. So we need to change how things are done, and we need to create a very creative and smart approach that will not only just hold us into account, but also enable us to do this thing very effectively and efficiently. And we need to say that it's not just a 1-year plan, like we need to create a 5 years plan, because it's easy even to mobilize resources. And it's even easy to bring people to see that this is the vision that we have and this is where we're going. And if you're interested, you can join us. And like these are the areas and the avenues that we want to work on, so that you can see where you come in and where you can play. Coming to the showcasing, my last point. I understand that ULEAD right now is trying to combine the virtual aspect and the physical aspect. I know that online, the consortium organizations, they've been given a platform to showcase about the work they're doing, the reports, the research reports, the narratives on what works and what is not working in their respective countries. And that, I believe, in my own thinking, what you're doing, but it was supposed to be a platform where everyone can log into and learn about the good work that we're doing in our respective countries. So maybe, I know previously, there used to be like a physical booth where organizations would come in to put their work, people would go around and see what is done. So I don't know, maybe because of the costs, that's why they decided to go virtual. But we can suggest different ways for us to see how we can tap into understanding the work that is done in Kenya, the work that is done in Rwanda, South Sudan, Tanzania, Uganda, so that in Burundi, so that we are able to sometimes just see what is working in Burundi and what is not working, so that we don't go to the field as a ranger who is just having a bullet that they're shooting to the stars, to the sky, hoping that it will capture the prey that they are hunting. We need to be very strategic and very intentional, very deliberative, that we're going to the field with our guns to shoot for the things that we know will eventually land them down. That way, ULEAD will be very successful, ULEAD will be very inspirational, ULEAD will be a platform for many other regional integrations to learn and see how they can capture this model and apply it in their respective regions. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. One thing that he said is very important. We can't exist in silos, right? I think that's the problem that we have. We don't support each other. The last contribution, so that we call it a day. We have, yes, I know you have your hand up. So that's that's it. 2, right? So that we call it a day, because tea is served, so that we can move out of this place.
Mine is a context-specific gender issue. It's a concern that I have, and I believe it is context-specific to each country concerning family disintegration. We have a generational crisis whereby families are not together. Families have been reason or another. And it's a concern I have because it has a gender perspective on it. Children are not growing with their parents. And for those that are lucky to have one parent, that parent is not always there. That are staying with other relatives and they have no access to their families for years. Those that are refugees, children are staying alone in different areas. And much as UNHCR tries to sometimes help communities to come together, they are not helping much. It's a gender concern that I would really want to bring here so that people who have expertise in gender can help us to brainstorm on it and we find solutions of how can we bring these families to grow up without having issues concerning gender becoming a problem in the future. I want to give some examples in South Sudan. There are a lot of young children that have grown up without their families, and some of them are single mothers. They don't have time to be at home. And now there is a group of young children that are growing up without any form of supervision. They are called Toronto boys. And they are becoming criminals in society. And this issue can also be seen in different aspects. Because of infrastructure issues, some families are forced to send their children to other countries to study even when they are still very young, and they don't grow up with these children. Instead, they are given to strangers to raise them up, and there are challenges that they are facing. We all know about that issue that was talked about, the work migration that is happening in the Middle East, where very many families are losing their parents because they want to earn a living so that they can be able to support their families. I believe there are gender issues and concerns that we need to look to in that aspect, and how are we going to solve or to counteract such issues concerning how these children are going to grow up. How do we intervene in such a circumstance? That is my concern, and I would appreciate if some people can come up and help us to give us opportunities of things they have done in that context, so that we can also use it to help such children and such families. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I wanted to just one thing that what I wanted to do first is to identifying the critical thinkers on this forum that we have from day one up to date. I want to nominate Sheila. Sheila has become a very critical participant right here. And she raised very, very powerful points. And she challenged the policymakers that, brother right there, he raised about the same faces every summit. But other participants or other interested people that they wish to join, are they having passion on to become critical thinkers on the communities? Because what we are seeing right here, we are seeing some people who have a passion, very passionating on the transforming the society that we wanted. Brother right here, he raised about the issue of the family. That's the foundation of the nation starting from the family. And I think on the stage right there, we are discussing about the gender issues. And if we want to see the Africa we want, therefore, we need to break this bad culture, bad norms in our societies. And that has been becoming a burden, a huge burden in Africa. And that's why we are trying to rebuild the Africa we want. You understand? And building the Africa we want, it might be maybe 20 people or 50 people in the whole Africa. You understand? We don't need bulk people to be able to be involved on the policies and all those things. But we need some people, at least as it might be 5 million or 50 million from people to raise the end, to see that this, yes, we started from the grassroots level, and yes, finally we made it. I think that's what we need. Yes, instead of complaining, okay, instead of doing this, doing that, but we need to identify those people who are trying to raise very critical ideas on the forum, and challenging those people who are trying to see that, okay, we think you can do this, we can do that, but and we are understanding that we are on the road, we are facing a lot of challenges as change makers. We see the reality on the ground. Then we need to bring in on the table to tell them, these policymakers, these giant people, that yes, there's a critical these people. Mind transformation is the level. We need to identify the leadership from the family level, the leadership from the workspace, leadership from everywhere. That yes, we have integrity leaders in our community. Thanks so much.
give it to you. Okay. We are running out of time, and I'll give you 1 minute to give your contribution. Is that okay? That's okay, right? I really feel for Sheila. She's not here. I remember attending. I was part of a Zambian delegate. We went to debate at Oxford University, and we had a round table session where we had spoken, and then during the round table session when I went out, and then Theresa May praised how I spoke. When I came back in the room, and somebody whispered to me to say, Prime Minister Theresa May praised how you spoke. Will you kindly repraise me because I was not here? Because it's better hear it from you, isn't it? I feel for Sheila, but we can't do it again. 1 minute.
Unfortunately, the media team has requested that I stand here. I don't know what effect they have the other side. I'll be very brief. I think when Sheila comes back, because of my color, I think that he was very polite. He was very polite. He told me, you first move and stand in front because of the light, but I've accepted it. Thank you very much. That was so polite of you. I just want to make a small submission, especially on issue of gender and security. I'll be a little controversial, a little bit. I think the issue of gender can be handled by institutionalizing it, like by channeling it through institutions. If we decide to get hungry and say that as young people we want to do it, we shall be short of capacity. The best to approach this is to use institutions that are currently existing. That will be long lasting and we shall change in generations. Because when you see the existing schools, right from primary, the culture of gender should be introduced as early, so that as young people grow up, they grow up with the minds changed because they live in community. But if young people decide to be hungry and say, I think we need to change this in one day, I must assure the young ladies in this house, it will not be possible. It is what we see today that we have a discussion is because of the institutions that have been put in place that has given us equal opportunity. And then maybe on the side of the women and the men as well, we should not take this for equality, to say everyone everyone has got responsibilities. As a man, I know what I should do. A woman should also know her responsibilities, but this is about opportunities. If it is going to school, the women should as well go. If it is a hospital, they should have access. If it is money, they should be allowed to work. So these are the things we are talking about. And this can be changed in our institutions, but not by hunger. That's my submission. But also too on security, I think the East African countries and states should learn to stand by each other. When we check for a country like South Sudan that has been in war for all this long, I think it's important that it is unfortunate we speak when the head of state, the next time this summit is held, it should be in the presence of the heads of states. You should stand by one another so that the peace that exists in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, everywhere else should also be with our sister country. Or I think that should be, because the young people can discuss and discuss and discuss, but as long as the implementers are not in it, it is a waste of time. Thank you very much.
To our panelists, in less than 30 seconds, what is the Africa you envision?
Thank you, moderator. We vision is, okay. On my side, I can say that the vision that I have for the Africa is we as Africa on the issue of gender, we have to reach to more Africans. And for us to reach to more of Africans, we have to have targets. And with targets, we have to be specific. For instance, I can take an example of this summit. We have discussed a lot of issues here, but also I think we have to channels to reach more other groups. For instance, we have not been able to reach special groups. I guess so. I've not seen any person who is translating to sign language here to assist those people with special needs. It means we have left them behind. They even don't know what is going on here. So I think we have to enlarge our territories and also to think more of how we can reach more youth and more people on the issue of gender. So I urge you, all of us, to at least to promote more on inclusive education and inclusive seminars where we can include exclusive seminars where we can also include those people with special needs into the dialogues, debates, so that they can also feel part of this and also they can be updated with the knowledge. So that's the Africa that I see. And I can also take this opportunity to advertise my books. They are found in there. But also I'm in the process of translating my book into sign language. I want also to reach the people with special needs, together with those who are deaf. I found those people, they are so intellectual, is that they have not been able to get some knowledge. They are so clever, they're so intellectual, and they think if they could know what we know, they could be better people even more than ours. So I'm in the process of translating my book into audiobooks and videos for sign language, and those who cannot see, I'm also in the process of making those notes for them so that they can be informed. So we can also think how to reach them, even to those who are in orphanage centers. We can also make some initiatives to reach them. We can assist them with knowledge. Thank you. My books are found in there and it's 10,000 T shillings. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I end up taking notes because the contribution are really so good, and appreciate all the participants who raised those points. But it seemed like no question came through. It's been a good conversation because, you know, when you have those burning questions, sometimes you sweat on the stage. So I can say that we didn't receive those burning questions. That's fine. It means that the topic is very close to our hearts, and it is a topic that everyone shows passion to it. So before I just say a word on the Africa I want, since my brother from the Nile, from the bank of the Nile, Uganda, revealed his own color, so I also want to reveal my colors. You know that I would like to categorically say that I am a son of the Nile. I'm a proud Nilotic. Black, as you can see, dark, very tall, with white teeth. But if you look to my skin very carefully, I'm not blue. So this is to say, my point on the Africa we want, it is an Africa whereby a young person, it is at the heart of its affairs, be it in peace and security, climate change, and all the aspiration that we look into. We need young people to be part of all those aspirations that we want for our continent, because Africa is young and the future is young. The other side of the world is growing old. And if COVID-19 can speak, you can ask COVID, who do you affect the most, which countries? And the COVID will know which country were affected the most, because the generation was so old. But it's a blessing, and we need to see in a way that our collaboration is what will draw the Africa that we want. Because if we are not collaborating as young people, my friend, your ideas will die in your room. We better network, cooperate, and push for the agenda that we want. I believe youth are nations building blocks, without which the future of nation cannot be guaranteed. Look to all sectors, young people need to be there. So please push for that policy that you want to be seen in your country, or any policy that you want to be implemented in your country. You have the ability. And I would like to say, do and do not try, because the option of try is not there. We just need to do it, and we have to. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be here. I appreciate all of you and our hosts. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Johannes. There's just something poshy about how Johannes speaks. I would like to categorically say. That's beautiful. Johan.
The Africa I envision is a peaceful Africa, an Africa full of peace and harmony, because all the development and the socio-economical developments we are running for can never prosper in a conflict-torn continent. So if one country is in conflict, let's not run away from it. Let's not disassociate ourselves with it. Rather, let's support one another and be there for one another so as to build an Africa, a continent with a very strong continental cohesion. So that's the Africa I envision. One more thing I'd like to say is regarding, since our panel was more flexible, I liked how the participants were giving their insights about the conference. In as much as we have all the comments and the critiques, I'd like to thank ULEAD and the entire team behind it. I'm sure we've all been seeing Kazaneza and the team have worked really hard. And I know after this summit, they're gonna have a 1 week sleep. Ismail, Kazaneza, Ivan, Sebastian and the EAC, Yap, all of them have worked hard. The camera team, the crew, and even us. It's not easy getting up. We've left our countries for 1 week. We are here to network and represent our countries. So in as much as we have all these comments, let's also appreciate what has been done for us. A lot of resources, a lot of hard work has gone into making ULEAD 2021 happen. Similarly, in as much as youth, we requested a lot of time to interact, to voice out our opinions. I'd also like to say, an Africa without the wise old men is nothing. Could you guys imagine a ULEAD without His Excellency Jakaya? How would it be? How would it be? I wouldn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed it with him. So let's also appreciate they give us. And in that way, we could have a more prosperous ULEAD next year, inshallah. Thank you.
Shukran, my sister. Yo, this place is powered. I don't want to go back to Zambia. In conclusion, Ihan envisions an Africa that is at peace with itself. In conclusion, Margaret envisions an Africa where we leave no one behind. In conclusion, Johannes envisions an Africa where young people are key drivers in transforming Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the One Young Africa TV show. At this moment in time, I want us to, let us please clap for ULEAD Secretariat. They've done a great job. Let's clap for them. Let us clap for them. Please, let us be on our feet and clap for this amazing team. Let us clap for them. Let us clap for our media team. Randy and his team have been amazing. Let us clap for our team. I know. Please let us clap for the EAC ambassadors. Great job, great job, great job, great job. We have, and you see, this is where the problem will be. You've seen how many we are here, and this is what I want us to do. I want us to even clap harder for us who are in this place right now, because we are the last youth standing, right? Yes. To our panelists, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have a party in the evening, and I know most of us want to see how we can, relieve our stress, right? And you know what the surprising thing is? You will see the number of youths that will come to the party. Yo, here when we're deliberating serious matters. But in one way or the other, please let us take our seats as I call upon Kazaneza to give us the closing remarks.
So in the evening, we will have the hip hop party, and I think it's going to be the greatest because we are crossing, right? How many of you are going to join us here? Here. for the party. Are you coming for the party? Because we want to bring in the musician from outside. They will be here. Eh? Do you want them? Okay, so we'll be here, and just get your food, rest, and afterward come here, and we will be enjoying. To you, Kazi.
Thank you very much, Kamala. You know me, I'm about announcements. First of all, those who have paid, if you haven't received a message on your email confirming that they have received your payment, kindly go to the reception. Margaret will be trying to understand what happened. Yes, for COVID test. I think that's it. I will not talk about COVID test again. So I just really want also to say thank you very much. You have seen all our faces when we are angry, when we are hungry, when we are tired, when we are happy, when we are panicking. But it was all for again, as Muila said, you are the last people who have stayed here. Some people went to sleep, others went to do shopping, but you guys have remained here to conclude this session. I'm very, very proud. I think as much as I didn't follow many of what happened because I was running, but I think this year summit was different. And one thing I would like to say, you really forced us to make you speak. I think we would have just been there, let's this big speech continue, but we heard you. I remember it was Tuesday, Muira came and said that you guys have been firing him. A lot of questions and what saying, we need time to speak. We need our time to say what we have in our hearts. And I want to congratulate the South Sudanese. I always tell them, my love for them, because they have a fire. When there is something which is not going, they will not go. That matter would have to be solved there and there. They will not take it back home. So really thank you for all your inspiring stories. I am sure none came here because you wanted to have a holiday. There was no holiday. You were waking up very early, going to sleep late. As much as there was some kind of fun, it was really 5 days of work. Proud of all of you. Oh, thank you. I think he said very, very, very important things, Ismail, about the work of ULEAD. We would like to see our consortium especially taking more responsibilities than they do. To carry that country and what. But if a strong organization or strong organizations in that country can come together, want to deliver together, the issue of competition, young people, instead of becoming stronger, we are becoming weak because we are our own enemies. Let's just also acknowledge that. We are just fighting each other. When this organization is growing, the other one wants to put them down, those kind of things. So when we go back, let's create unity. Let's work together. Let's write projects together. When somebody comes and approach your organization, don't start thinking, oh, they are stealing my ideas. Oh, they are stealing my partners. They want to take money from my donors. That's how we don't grow. So, but if we work together, it will be better because we want it's unity, and we can deliver more. So on behalf of the team, I think we have remained here, me and Kemi and other few people, and some ESC youth ambassadors who are still also working there. I see also Emrot is there. I really just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Have safe journey, those who will be leaving tomorrow, those who will be leaving Sunday, we are still together, but make us proud, really. I think one of the things, I don't care how much we do or what, but when you hear an alumni of ULEAD who has succeeded, you just forget all the tiredness we go through to get here. So if one of us can make it, that would have made more sense of all the money we spend, the tiredness, the sleepless nights. So make it in your country and make it like a dream. I have to make it. And not make it just for yourself, make it for your family, make it for your friends, make it for your organization, make it for your country. Today I was very proud to see my countrymen coming with a flag. So you know, Burundians, we are a very small country, very, very small, tiny. So when some of us succeed, it's like the whole world. So I want you people to be proud of where you come, but you will be proud because you have done something and you can feel and you can own it. So thank you. God bless you. So she has one communication, but before I forgot, Stella had asked me, you guys have been working in country groups, eh? We need those things you have been discussing and send it to an email from one of our rapporteur, actually our chief rapporteur, who is Juma Erasi. So his email is Juma, those who are writing, Juma E, so it's just Juma and E from Erasi, just E, Juma E at ulead.africa. Juma E, oh yes, that is his email. So for those who were doing work in your own countries, submit to him all the reports. These things will be coming out in our reports, and we will be sharing with you. And then another thing, by the way, before you guys leave, because even evaluation form, we really need to want to know and be honest. If you have eaten food and something went bad in your stomach, say it. It's okay. If you didn't like the accommodation, say it. It's okay. Honesty is what will make us improve. If you have enjoyed, also say it. So let's just, so that can make us know what to do and what to plan. I think that's it. There is a party at night. Come, we enjoy. Oh, there is something.
Hi, everyone. So, as they have thanked us, I think it wasn't be fair if we could have left without thanking them as well. That's why I raised the hand on behalf of the delegates. So, starting with the organizers plus all the consortium and everyone who participated, on behalf of my colleagues, I know you guys have not sent me. It's just because of my mind. We want to say thank you very, very much. For me personally, it is my first time to be here. I have always heard ULEAD from my friends, from my colleagues, and it's always fire. I participated in previous events, previous conferences, which I felt fire. But honestly, this one has been fire as well. Looking at how people patriotic they are to their countries, fighting for what they're looking for. And this has happened all because of you guys. So I want all of you together, starting by the organizers, the crew, those who cooked for us. Personally, I love the cooked food so much. Coming to every single person of us who participated, I want to say thank you very, very, very much. And for those who have tried their best to make sure that we're enjoying every minute, I'm talking about those delegates who have been participating into games, talking to each other and stuff like that. Honestly, if it was only serious, this could have not gone. So those who were doing jokes, laughs and everything, also, we thank you very much for making it happen. But last but not least, to our leaders who participated with us, also we want to say thank you very, very, very much for making this happen and to make it great. Rather than that, I want to wish everyone best of luck, but I want to advise you one thing. Make sure that you use this network properly. Make those partnerships. Let's have those conversations during the party and other times. Let's exchange contacts and make sure that we use them properly, not just to date each other. Bye.
Thank you so.
Kazeneza, we will talk about the Yuli marriages later on. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, my colleague. Ladies and gentlemen, this was an action point. I have just been discussing. I passed by Ms. McKenna's office on request, and this is what I feel we can do as we talk about climate change, adaptation, and mitigation. That from this summit we can commit as young people to plant each 5 trees. Plant and grow 5 trees. Between now and November 2022, those trees would have grown. Now, this is what you're going to do. We have a very good, perfect team of ICT. So what is going to happen is you will take is it a picture or a video of yourself and the trees, okay? And you post on the ULEAD page. Is that okay? Because this is going to be our central point, like a hub of photos. So that next year when we are talking about negotiating on carbon trade, on the north and the south issues of financing adaptation and mitigation interventions coming from the COP26, we have something to put on the table to begin with our negotiations and say, look here, we have 5 million trees across Africa planted, so can you pay us for the carbon trade? That is the negotiation that I want us to do. And this should come from ULEAD. 5 trees, just 5. Minimum of 5 trees. Now, if you are in a young people organization, in your community, as a leader, a local leader, you can encourage and mobilize communities, all right, to grow trees. We're not planting because you can plant and the goats eat it, and you will come here and tell us, you know what, Sheila, the termites have eaten my trees, there was no water. All those excuses do not work. So let us go robust action on institutional greening, on greening Africa. Now we have been 200 and something delegates here, times 5 trees. Can someone do the arithmetic for me? 1,000 trees, thank you, times the number of people that you're going to influence. So our agenda from here is going to be, let us grow trees, let us encourage. You're going to take the photo, you tweet it, you send it to ULEAD. We are coming here, the first video we're going to watch in 2022 is the number of trees that young people across Africa have planted so that we are in the table of negotiating for carbon trade. Am I very clear? From an informed point of view, and we have the power to negotiate because we don't negotiate what is not done, all right? We speak from evidence and we're able to have conversations around how much they can pay.
Sheila, when you are not here, someone sang a song for you, this man. Yeah, he praised you, you have no idea. Yo! You should see him after this, eh? Yeah. Definitely, Sheila. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Quick one. Margaret has a book. I've bought myself a copy. It's only, money here is difficult. 10,000, eh? Yes, 10,000 shillings. 10,000 shillings in my country is like 1,000. 10,000 is like $1,000 in my country. Like thousands, eh? So it's only like 10,000. 10,000 shillings. Please let us support the work. Here we are done. We have tea there. But before we go, when I say Africa, Africa, mama, Africa, you say Africa. So here when I say Africa, you say Africa. Africa, mama. Yeah, let's go. Let's stand as we are going. Let's go. Let's do some energy. Let's go. Africa, mama, Africa, mama, Africa, mama. Hey, don't make me go crazy. One more. Yes, let's go. Where's the meeting? Okay, let's go. Africa, mama, Africa, mama, Africa, mama, Africa, mama.
Tusonga mbele mama Afrika, Afrika, Tusonga mbele mama Afrika, Afrika,